negative
shout out. There's a question for Trevor, because Trevor's.
Oh, there's Trevor. Trevor,
he's about to come on.
Be good.
Trevor,
be nice.
Why is Zulu time GMT far away from Zulu here in South Africa?
Thank you, Graham, for inviting me on your channel. I was in my pajamas till about 10 seconds ago.
I'm in mine, mate.
Yeah.
Well, it depends how drunk I get. I can get changed before I get to bed. Otherwise, I just crash.
Your pajamas look nice, though. I've got one.
This is American Army, this one. Look.
Yeah, but all right.
This is one of them that you go jogging in the morning, you know, and you get full of sweatiness, and then you throw them in the wash, and they last for years. They're dead rugged, you know.
Well,
American, not like the British ones.
Well, yeah, well, let's be honest. I think most pajamas are made abroad anyway. There's very little made in the UK these days.
Trevor, excuse me. Do you remember British Army issue Y-front underpants? Green, olive drab for the use of.
I'm going to be honest. When I joined up, we got like green, long johns was our stuff, but we never. I didn't get. You're before my time, Graham. Though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But we had the green long johns. Yeah.
Our underwear was long johns, top and bottoms, which kept us warm. But we didn't get underwear. No, that was before my time.
We had these really awful, the worst underpants you can imagine, white fronts in army green. One size fits everyone, right? And you know when you get nicked for defacing army kit, right? I know my mate ripped it up and used it as a pull through.
Well, we all did that there. You know, whenever our t-shirts got worn out, we used it to clean weapon systems. We all did that, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing is, you had to get the right size, though, because if it depended on the barrel, Graham. If it was a 5.56 barrel, then it was 45 by 45. You had to cut the pull through.
You need a smaller piece of rank than me, because my bore was bigger than yours.
Well, exactly. If you're 7.62, it was 50 by 50. I remember that stuff. Yeah, good.
I can't remember the exact dimensions of the little strip, but when you run out of strips, you just tear your underpants up. You're never going to wear them, are you? Use that, pull it through.
Well, how's your day been?
It's been all right. It's been all right.
It's been raining. I was going to say prison issue knickers in Madrid are actually quite comfortable. In fact, the other, because they're huge, like granny's knickers, but they're really, I've never worn granny's knickers before then. No one wanted the prison knickers, and I said, I'll have a few. I'll try them. And I thought, I quite like these. Never looked back.
Get yourself
You've stolen them plenty of times.
I've not.
Get yourself locked up. So that's really nice. So I suppose that's one advantage of being in prison, isn't it? You get nice underwear.
There was just the one time I went to prison in Spain, the finest prison in the land.
Oh God. Jeez.
And yet she was never ever charged with anything or convicted of anything.
Actually, I was in with in my module. It's called Madrid 5, and then it's like got little prisons inside it that are modules. Mm. And in my module, I had all the top ETA girls, because when I went to court at Audiencia Nacional, their pictures were there, and the ones that were in prison with me had a red cross through, and the ones that were still at large didn't. And they were really strange, the ETA. They were very private, kept themselves themselves, and they cooked their own food. They would not eat prison food.
Wow.
And the screws used to come to her and say, don't associate with them.
There was one in particular.
It's frowned upon.
Who was a friend of mine, and she just gave me a little book one day and said, look after that. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell's that? And it had all the phone numbers and everything in it, while she went to go and see somebody somewhere else in the jail. And then I gave it back to her, and one of the screws said to me, don't be friends with ETA. Don't be doing that.
No. Well, it was a terrorist group in Spain. I mean, a lot of people don't know, but it's in the north of Spain. And half of it's in France and the other half's in Spain, and they want their own independence. And which I think there's loads of political aggravation. I don't know the top and bottom of it, but
there was one lady that was in there. That her husband was the most wanted ETA terrorist, and she divorced him. They weren't even together anymore, and she had 3 kids or something by him. And they said on the news, if he doesn't hand himself in, we're going to put his ex-wife in prison. And she said, well, I don't like him. I've been divorced from him for years. And they said, don't care. And they put her in prison. She was in there when I was in there. She was in the next module. And my friend said to me, she's been in here for about 6 years and she will remain in here for the rest of her life, and her kids were put in care. That's how strong the bad feeling is against Etta.
Wow.
It would never happen in the UK, never.
So how's your day been? How's your day been? What have you been up to? You look very smart there, Trevor.
You were supposed to be
Today's been okay. I've had a bit of a rye at Bull.
Oh dear.
Right. Well, thing is, this is what happened yesterday. Yesterday, GB News phoned me up, one of the producers, and asked me would I support Patrick Christie. Patrick Christie's raising money for Remembrance Day. And I thought, yeah, well, I'll support Patrick. And then they said, well, he's raising money for the RBL. And I was like, fuck's sake, really? I don't support that charity. I think they're corrupt. They need to be investigated. £35 million wage thing. I sent GB News all the stuff. And GB News said to me, well, Trevor, they can't seem to get anyone in Brighton. They can't seem to get anyone in Brighton to raise money for the RBL. And I said, well, that's because people are starting to click on that it's got this. And the producers went, oh, no, Trevor. I sent them all the stuff about the RBL. I said, do your own research. There's all the links. Go and do it all. And they were like, Trevor, he's raising money for RBL. He wanted your support. And I'm like, well, I had this tit for tat battle with him going, well, I don't want to come across two-faced to people because everyone knows I don't support the RBL. I'm against them. And so then it went back and forth, and I said, well, I'll come on and support Patrick, but can you not raise money for PTSD Resolution as well, which is a charity that I support? And they were like, we'll get back to you. And they got back and they went, well, tomorrow's about the RBL, but we will do a segment on the lead up to Remembrance Day with PTSD Resolution. And I was like, okay. And then there was a row yesterday. Basically, they raised over 100 grand for, I think it's 135 or 140 now. And I said, that's fantastic, a lot of money. I sent them a message. I shouldn't have done it, but I did it because I'm an ass. I sent them a message going, that's fantastic. You've just covered the CEO's wage there with all the money Patrick's just raised. And they didn't like that. And the producers had a row with me. And then I got taken off the air. I went, fuck, I don't care. I mean, I stood right with my morals. I think GB News went for, they went to support the RBL because it's the biggest charity. It gives them
because people are familiar with it. That's
morally, they knew, they have all the information about it. They knew that it wasn't a great charity, yet they still went with it. And that money will be sucked up in fact, it's probably being spent right now in the RBL's social media campaign, which probably cost over 100 grand. So there you go. Morally, I think I kept myself intact, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
But at one time, the fact that they can say they're the Royal British Legion, I mean, no one in the UK can call themselves the Royal this or the Royal that. You've got to get approval from the Crown.
They did. The Queen.
So at some point, they must have got approval. Who gave them royal approval, Trevor? Do you know?
It was the Queen, Queen Elizabeth. It got royal assent. It got royal approval from them.
Why did they start? I thought it was Hague who started it.
Exactly, it was. It started off as the Hague Fund. Now, this is where people today have lost sight of it because the Hague Fund was started by Lord Earl Hague, General Lord, right? Messed up. He messed up. He was embarrassed. He sent hundreds of thousands of soldiers to their death, and he couldn't live with himself. So he came up with a fund to try and support the families. And this is why I don't like when people try to mess around with the poppy, because the center, if you remember the original poppies, the center black circle said Hague on it.
It did.
Now you've got rid of that. Now it's just like a little metal poppy, and it's just shit. And I don't like how they do it, because each year what the RBL do, each year the RBL will do little pins, but they'll put the year on it because then they know you have to have a new one each year. They won't. That's why the year's on it. The only reason why, so that you have to buy a new one for 2024. If you turned up at a parade with a poppy saying 2022 on it, people would go, "You stingy fucker! Why didn't you get a new one?" See, they're not stupid. And now they've went from using that to using the paper ones, because they know that there's no way you can keep a paper poppy still all year. It's only get wrinkled. You're going to get a new one. And now they're coming up with these new disposable ones. Well, it is what it is. At the end of the day, when a charity has to sell 35 million puppies a year just to cover their wages, they're not a charity, and they don't like it when I call them out. And I will continue to call them out until they get properly investigated. It's weird how the RBL can call for other charities to be investigated, but no one can call for them.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's not something I'm familiar with, but with charities generally, where people are fundraising for a charity, you never really get to hear afterwards what happened. I'm not criticising any of the charities. I suppose they struggle themselves, all of them, to get coverage in the media.
Well, that's what the RBL do. The RBL will bring in Ross Kemp. He'll do his little bullshit on TV. They'll get it on GB News, which they've done now. They'll get it on GMB or GB. I don't know what's called. Good Morning Britain it is. And now you've got to bear in mind that we haven't even hit Remembrance Day yet, and they still have £240 million tied up in long-term investments. They've got over 80 million in own use assets, and they've got 86 million in other assets. So that's nearly £500 million they have right now before Remembrance Day even comes. And what GB News didn't want me to do today, and I was going to do it had they have had me on, I was going to thank the Royal British Legion for all their hard work in Northern Ireland with their respite centres and their pop-in shops. And then I was going to say, sorry, I forgot. You closed all them down, didn't you?
Oh.
Right.
Well, maybe that was a good thing, because they might
if you live in Northern Ireland, you should never donate to the RBL, because the RBL doesn't give a damn about Northern Ireland. It shut down all its respite centres. It got rid of all its pop-up shops, and it got rid of everything, drop-in centres. So... Do
they house homeless servicemen?
No, they don't. Not in Northern Ireland, they don't. Andy Allen's Veteran Service in Northern Ireland. SAFA do some good work in Northern Ireland. I'm going to be honest. There's quite a few charities do some good work in Northern Ireland, but the RBL don't.
The Royal British Legion, as far as I knew, is like, if you've been in the services, I've heard or known people who said they needed money for a car or something, so then they help them out with a car, or they help them pay their rent or something. Is that the case, or how?
Well, to be fair, Fiona, the RBL, it's not a charity for you to turn and say, I need a car. They're just going to go and do something yourself.
Right.
The RBL is there to help people that have fallen hard times and to help people. But 99% of the time, if you go to the RBL, I know loads of people have done it, and you say, I need help, they'll signpost you to a charity which will help you. They won't necessarily do it yourself.
Right.
You know, so, and we are now, tomorrow's the 1st of November, yeah? So we've got 61 days left before the end of the year. And let's be honest, there's been loads of vows made and things said. We're going to end veterans homelessness by the end of 2023. 61 days to go, and they're nowhere near it. I just don't like it. Every year, it's the same shit. And every year, the amount of things I've written off and tried to find out, and the minute you mention the RBL in it, you know, doors close. Nobody wants to be seen to investigate a charity, and that's why they run amok.
Right, but legally they're allowed to have wages and expenses, aren't they?
Well,
I don't think there's like a rule that says a charity can't pay a CEO.
No, I get it.
So it's a legality that all charities can do, isn't it?
But I remember Help for Heroes did this thing where they had that celebration where they had raised 100 million. We've now raised 100 million. And I was like, okay. And they said, what was it they said? 90p in the pound goes to veterans and 10p goes to staff. So then I said, oh, does that mean in the last 6 years then you've taken 10 million for your staff? No, we haven't. But that's what you've said. And the 90p out of the pound goes to the veterans.
Well, there may be other overheads, I suppose, offices.
Well, every charity's got overheads, but
charities are exempt from business rates. I think they get a reduction, don't they?
Oh yeah, they get reduction business rates. They get rent sort of free. They're little charity shops at all tax havens, you know. But I don't think charities do a good job today. Not in the veterans community. There's 1,844 UK veterans charities. Did you know that?
That's a lot.
1,844. So if you're going to end veterans homelessness by the end of 2023, you're looking at putting about 150 charities on the dole. That's 150 CEOs. That's nearly 5,000 people unemployed by Christmas if you're looking to end it. So are we going to end it? I doubt it very much. It's a moneymaker.
Do vets know where to go? If they say that fuck, my marriage has gone tits up, I'm homeless, do they know there are numbers they can call? Or do they generally not really know? Because they're out somewhere. And
Fiona, this is the issue. Facebook is probably one big fraud. Facebook messes veterans up because there's thousands of veterans groups. And whenever you go into a group and you say, I need a hand, you'll get every veteran under the sun going, they'll all signpost you, but no one will take you there by the hand. No one will say, here, mate, send me a message and I'll sort you out. Everyone wants to signpost. Do you know there's nearly 100 veterans charities out there whose sole purpose is just to signpost you to another charity? That's really good, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
They call themselves hubs, like the Northeast Hub and the Southeast Hub and this hub and that hub. Oh, they all get funding. But they add no value whatsoever. And and this is why a lot of veterans don't like me, I'll be honest. I get on with loads of veterans, but I call them out. I said, what's the point of you existing? So you want me to help raise money for your hub? What's it for? Oh, someone needs to answer the phone and we pay their. So you want me to raise money for your hub so you can pay the wages of somebody who designs t-shirts and merchandise,
right,
and someone that answers the phone, and then the rent of your building where you all come to sit down and you all fob off donations so you can have your coffee and your teas and you can plan your next design. I mean, we don't need hubs like that. These hubs are shit. You're either a charity to help veterans or you're not. On the lead up to, and this is why I used to row all the time with Johnny Mercer and different veterans, because they don't do a good job. They don't. They just.
Are there hostels? Are there halfway houses or a house? Are there places where homeless veterans can go?
Well, under the Housing Act, the Homeless Act, and things like that, there you need someone to take you to if someone takes you into the council and goes, this is a homeless guy, he's a veteran, here's his arm, name, rank, and number, they can check it out there and then. If it comes back, yes, they are, this who they are, the council has a moral and legal duty to take you to some place to have shelter. They have to do it, and then they have to put you in the register, and they have to pay your rent and stuff. But I remember, I won't mention his name, but I remember a guy who was doing great work. And he used to say, Trevor, we've got this guy who's a vet and he's homeless. We've now got him in a hostel for a couple of nights. But our charity only covers, this is true, the homeless charities will only cover the shelter. They you need another charity to come in to cover the food and clothing.
Right.
So there's a homeless charity can't grab you and look after you. They can grab you, give you a bed for the night and shelter, but then they need to ask, because the wages and the funding and donations that charity gets is to get people off the street. You cannot, legally, they cannot use the money they've been donated to pay for that homeless guy's food. That's the law, and that's law, which is shit, you know.
But you'd think
that's
there'd
ridiculous,
be like some buildings, dedicated house where. Because, I mean, if the council housed them, they could be housed in all manner of accommodation, which might not be comfortable or suitable for someone with PTSD. Maybe a small family, screaming kids next door, or people who have come from another country, don't speak English. So are there no charities where they have a whole building which is vets, where they are in a place with people through similar things?
Fiona, there's not. And the weird thing about these charities is this: if you turn up on a Friday afternoon, these charities are shut till Monday. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, I came up with wasn't my idea. Me and a few other guys came up with an idea a few years ago with the RBL, and they wouldn't have it. Right? There's RBLs, which they're little drinking pubs all over the towns, all over the UK.
We have one in Jim.
What there should be in an RBL is, when you walk into that RBL and you may be a homeless veteran, right? You go up to the bar, because there's a bar, and you say, hi, I need a hand. They should be able to bring out a book and go, who are you, name it.
Yes.
Contact numbers for someone to come in and take you away. Because if you look at all those RBLs across the country, see above them, there's bedrooms, and they, for some reason, they're not for veterans.
Oh.
They're not. Yeah, exactly. Staff or people that run the RBL. I mean,
right.
Each RBL should have a call-out list of who to contact if you go in there asking for help as a veteran. Unfortunately, 99% of the RBLs across the country are filled with civilians that know absolutely nothing about veterans.
Right.
In fact, there was many. I had a row a couple of years ago. I stick by tradition. Now, I don't know if you know this. Whenever you walk into an RBL, there should be a portrait of the Queen in every or the King. It should be the King now. There should be a portrait of the King in every RBL. There should be. That is tradition. However, if you look at the portrait of the King, there's not allowed to be another picture in that building which is above the King. The King's portrait should sit the highest one in the room, and all the other pictures should sit below. I walked in a few years ago now to the RBL in Woodbridge, and I was sitting there having a beer with a friend, and I turned around and I went, "There's no portrait in here of the Queen." And the guy went, "There is. It's there." You know what it was? You know where your granny would have, or your mother would have plates on the wall, framed plates? They had a plate of the Queen. And I said, that shouldn't be there. And do you know where it was? It was about 2 feet away from the dartboard. And I went, that's in the wrong place. That's shocking. So, and I was said, listen, mate, no one cares in here. And I went, and that's the problem, because you're all civvies and you don't give a shit. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is very hard for civilians to understand or appreciate. I'm surprised that the Royal British Legion bars don't have at least a leaflet or a book or and a phone and say, I can call someone. There's a place.
Oh, trust me.
Or even say, do you want a shower? We haven't got rooms tonight, but do you want a shower, something to eat?
Yeah.
I'm very surprised.
Well, Fiona, look at it from the RBL's point of view. Do you think the RVL wants to promote other military charities in their own facility? No, they don't.
Why not?
There's all flyers about how good the RBL do and about how we took away six World War II veterans the other week to a sandy beach in France, and we laid a poppy. No one gives a shit. Honestly, really.
Wouldn't it make them stronger if they're seen to be working with other charities?
Well, you would think so. A lot of and this is the problem you have in the veterans community. All the small charities fear taking on the RBL because then they won't get grants from the RBL. It's a big.
Do you think Patrick Christie knows all of this?
Of course he does. I've spoken to him dozens of times. However,
he has
I suppose. I believe it was a GB News decision from the directors, the producer at the top. Patrick put his name to it. Patrick was doing the right thing. He was trying to raise money.
He must feel as if he's got the sword of Damocles above his head because a lot of his compatriots have been given the chop, haven't they?
Yeah,
the grace of God go higher.
You've only got to say the wrong thing, and that's it. You're fired, haven't it?
He's got a good heart. He was trying to do a good thing, and and that's why I said I'll support Patrick. I'll do it. But the problem you have here is that Patrick knew, and he was like, Trevor, he's what I do here, and I'm like, I tell you what you do, you keep your job. Don't go against it. Keep your job. You're raising money for the right reasons. It's not your fault. There's a lot of, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, we're a poppy. Support veterans. It's great. It's good. You're doing the right thing. It's not our fault as people at the top are very, very greedy in charities, and it's across the board. It's every charity. One of the worst charities is Oxfam for different reasons, but we're all trying to do the good thing, aren't we?
I used to like shopping in the charity shops in the UK, and I think that's a great way of supporting all that. We had Red Cross, Oxfam, and I'd go in all of them. I love charity shops. Sadly, we don't have that many down here. And the poppies,
no, we don't. I
have to confess, guys, at Dolphin Safari, we always used to wear the purple poppy for animals because we're at Dolphin Safari and our company is blue. So I have put money in the Royal British Legion before and other charities.
We all have.
I really don't put money in charity pots these days. Like if we go to Aldi or Lidl here, There are homeless people outside, and I say to them, what do you want? Money, food, or drink? And they always say food. So I say, give me a list, and I'll get you what you want. And they're like treats for their children or grandchildren, maybe hot chocolate powder. They're never greedy. And I prefer to do that, give direct, than put it in a pot and let someone else deal with it, if I can.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Fiona? You know what? Regardless of what I think about the RBL, will I still give it £1? I'll probably give it more this year. But the thing is, you do it. We do it because it's the right thing to do. Even though morally, I think it's wrong how they waste money. But there's no denying that. There's no denying that they help veterans. Of course, they help veterans. I just get pissed off with the £35 million wage salaries and the fact they've got nearly £400 million already. And I just
I always thought if they're on a paid wage and you're working for a charity, you should be on the national average wage. What was the justification for like 250 grand wages?
Well, the thing is,
if you're working for a charity, you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart.
No, man. The volunteers. There's thousands and thousands of volunteers do it for the goodness of their health, but there's also 1,544 employees at the RBL. 47 of which are on over 60 grand a year. But their argument is, well, if we want to bring in the best sponsors and the best donations, we need the best person for the job. And you know, it's just weird. A charity will employ a CEO at the same level as a CEO for Little or Aldi. They want a challenge to get the best. And I think it's bollocks. How can you have so many charities, I mean, that need that type of CEO? It's just shocking. I know a guy
like Sunshine.
They're just sucking up all the money that people are giving to them, you know, and that's wrong.
Well, payroll payroll always does. And I've got to put in a word of defence for charities here, because I remember my mum saying this. The problem with volunteers is they might not want to turn up on a certain day, and if you can't have a go at them, you can't say, I need you there at 9 o'clock. They're like, fuck you, I'm doing it for voluntary.
That's why I get
national average wage is a wage.
I don't think you're going to get top talent that know how to, as Trevor said, pull in celebrities who have contacts. If you had to, I mean, look at some of the Jongos we've had in the Dolphin Safari office. Oh my God. Oh my God. You've got to have someone who's got a bit of organisation, but I do think that those salaries are huge.
The thing is, I sometimes, you know, there's times where I do have to watch what I say, but I don't always do it. I don't always bite my tongue, but a lot of the time I try and hold back, because I hold back a lot because I don't want to offend. I don't want to offend the volunteers, because the volunteers work.
Yeah.
See if I'm having to go at your CEO, I know it upsets the volunteers, because they go out and they stand in all weathers, and I take my hat off to them, because they work really hard and they stand there for hours and hours and hours. And if I walk into a shop, which I did yesterday, and there's someone standing from the RBL, and they say, do you want to donate? The truth is, I don't argue. I give them £1. It's not their fault. It's not their fault, you know. And imagine me. I mean, what type of an arsehole would you be to stand there and argue with somebody who's given the time and go, "Whoa, hello, mate." I mean, listen, they're out there for 8-9 hours at a time. If they say we'd like to donate, it's either yes or no. But don't ever be rude to them. I just say, yeah, well, and I usually say, well done, mate. I don't be rude. It's not like that. But
Trevor, I'm never rude to Jehovah's Witnesses.
They're lovely. Jehovah's Witnesses.
My parents were savvy, and I very rarely go to church. Weddings, funerals, that's about it. If ever. But you know, you get the Jehovah's Witnesses banging on the door and doing their stuff. I said, no, thank you. I'm really not interested. But thank you anyway. You know what I mean? And they go, and some people are sort of super rude to them, and I think, why be like that? Why be like that?
Do you know that Jehovah's Witnesses don't like Halloween?
Probably not. Yeah, it's demonic.
There's not a lot of Christians. My sister doesn't like it.
Do you know what? Do you know why? Jehovah's Witnesses don't like strangers just knocking on their door.
Getting back to the charity's salary, right? I will tell you a true story. Years ago, my dad had a lady work for him who was a legal executive, and she got a job with the
Excuse me.
RSPCA, and she said, "I'm really sorry to leave Lewis, Holman and Lawrence, but I've been offered a lot more money." She was offered double the money, and she was there for about 6 months, and she came back to my dad, and he said, "Are you crazy? I'm offering half what they are." And she said, "I can't stand it any longer. There are animals being destroyed and put down because they don't have the money to keep them alive, and I cannot take that wage." And she said, "I have seen so many people on such high money." I'll add the caveat, this story is from 1987 to 88. So I don't know what the situation is with the RSPCA as an example, but Linda felt it was immoral to take a massive wage and see animals being destroyed. So there's that to consider.
That rings a bell now, actually, because I remember reading about that probably last year, if I'm honest, where
So it is still
where it still happens. I mean, they're bringing in millions of pounds a year of donations because, you know, more people leave money to animal charities than they do to their family, which is strange, but that's what happens. I suppose, really, you know, at the end of the day, I live by myself. At the end of the day, I've got my look at this.
Well, you love Zeus, don't you? You love Zeus. He's like a child. He's a member of your family. He's your best friend.
Exactly. So you know what?
I think a lot of people feel like that, and so they do. They leave legacy because, you know, maybe when they died, that was their world.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I see why people leave animals. Animals don't judge you. Animals will always be near there and look after you, and they love you. They love you unconditionally. Whereas people get pissed off and hate you one day, but and next day they love you, don't they? But
I nearly put someone in a timeout there by mistake. I was clicking on the comments. Sorry, guys.
But it's not good. But yes, it's not good that the RSPCA do put down a lot of animals. But bear in mind, I don't think that's their fault. I mean, like Christmas time, you'll see lots of families buying pets for Christmas, and then come January they'll be abandoned, and it's a massive stress onto the RSPCA to keep these animals housed. And then you've got breeders out there that are breeding things legally and illegally, and there's more. And it's big. I mean, today it's like, what type of dog would you like? Well, I don't like that dog, and I don't like that dog. But what I would love is maybe a bit of that dog and a bit of that dog, and they breed them for you. And all, you know, it's just
I have to say, I'm going to say something that might upset Rhea Snakespeare because she adores snakes. You know, there's quite a few people in Gibraltar who buy pythons, and when they get too big, they let them go up the rock and they thrive. Monkeys are terrified of them. If you go up the rock, a lot of the taxi drivers have a rubber snake in the car because the monkeys, they think it's a snake. They shit themselves.
Yeah. Barbary apes, they can attack you. They don't attack people generally.
They can bite. Teeth like that.
You know, if you piss them off and or you try and like abduct one of their young, you're going to get bitten.
Or they want your handbag.
Yeah,
they're like
worse than scousers, I'm telling you.
Yeah, but you produce a rubber snake.
Yeah, from the dog shop, rubber snake.
Yeah.
The monkeys freak and they leg it
because they're scared of the snakes up the rock.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some massive.
Do you remember years ago? Do you remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Everyone, it was a big craze, wasn't it? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, TV show, cartoon.
Everybody had
Turtles.
didn't they?
And they were selling these terrapins in the pet shops as turtles.
Yep.
And people would go, "Oh, I want a turtle," and they'd have the turtles, and then they'd get big and big and big, and they'd go, "Fuck this, let them go in the river." And it was an environmental disaster. They were taking over and killing everything.
They brought out a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. One came out. Now, my son's 12 now, but whenever he was about 7, around about 7, we took him to Ipswich, the Empire, to watch the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. And on the way out, I noticed that they were doing bids. You could bid. Now, they had a massive big cutout of the turtles. There were all 4 of them there. It was 3D with the swords and all and the shield. It looked amazing. And they were doing bidding. And I was like, okay. So I went and bid on it. It was a secret bid. And I didn't know how much. I thought this was going to go for hundreds of pounds. It really is. So I wrote on the bid 150, put it in the thing and handed it. About 4 weeks later, we get a phone call. You've won the bid. And you know what? I couldn't believe it. My son was at school and he came home one day from school and I had it in his bedroom. All the Teenage Ninja Turtles 3D. He loved it. We had it. He had it for ages. It was fantastic.
I love the turtles. I love them.
Yeah.
Leonardo is my favourite.
We got a whole set.
Raphael.
Oh, God.
They're only this big, and you put them all together, and we finished up standing them on the mantelpiece and getting the BB gun on.
I bought Ben a load of magnetic turtles, where that you could pull their arms off and then put them back on with magnets.
Oh, I think I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you.
Got Graham a BB gun, and he shot the turtles up. He lined them all up in the telly and shot all their heads off.
But we got the kids to do it as well, just sort of to make me feel better. So I
Ben
wasn't
got
the
really
bad
upset
guy.
about that.
But you could just stick them all back together again. They wouldn't do any harm, did it? Didn't break them.
I think Sebastian's still got them. He's got the truck and all the vehicles and all the turtles and all the bodies. He's got it all.
Worth money now.
Yeah. Well, probably. Yeah.
Our son's got like a teddy bear, but it's a bull. His girlfriend bought it for him, and he was going to take it back to London with him tonight. And
wow, Graham.
Leave it here. Oh, I'm going to put that on the plane.
Well, I'm sure he's going to love you saying that on a live. Yep, he really is.
I was going to take it to one of his business meetings. I said, "Don't do that, dude. Don't do that."
Well, if your girlfriend buys you a teddy bear or something, you're obliged to keep it, aren't you? Out of loyalty, you can't say I'm not taking that.
He has still got a toy minion.
He has, yeah.
Oh wow!
Which we got him years ago. Yeah,
Minion.
he doesn't want to throw it away. When you say to the kids, "Oh, we're going to give you," well, we give them away to friends of ours who've got younger children. We said, because he had loads of Thomas the Tank Engines and stuff like that. We
had that.
Sebastian, I bet Sebastian was into that. Yeah. Thomas the Tank Engine, yeah.
And
Do you know what, Sebastian? No, he was never the Thomas the Tank Engine. My brother was in the Thomas the Tank Engine many years ago. He loved it. Probably still does. He's just not going to go down the road. But here, no, Sebastian was never in that. He was into all different things. Sebastian, what did he watch as a kid? The thing is, Luba was very, very strict in an educational way. Right. She went off and she bought this thing in America, sent off for it. It was called Baby Can Read. Look it up. Baby Can Read. It comes with about 9 different CDs and stuff and books. So she would sit him in his little rocker at the TV and she'd put the disc in. And I swear to God, Sebastian would. Our son was 4 and he was learning to write and he could read and stuff because of this. He was just getting all day he was getting educational things all the time. And I'm like, wow. It was crazy.
That's awesome. Benji, I'd put him in front of the telly and he'd watch the Boo Bars.
Yeah,
Do you remember the Boo Bars? I love them.
Someone just said, is Benji going to join the RAF? No.
No. And he's given up on the Navy.
He tried to join the Navy, but they took so long. He just got rid of it. He just said, oh, bollocks. And he's working at Amex now in Brighton.
I was in charge of messaging the Navy. Like I'd say, the Navy have sent you a message. What do you want me to say? And he'd tell me. And the last message, they said to him, your eye test is from 2020. And it's not. It's from this last July. So I sent them quite a rude message as Ben, saying, this has now been going on nearly 5 years, this Navy application. Good God, I could have got a degree in the theory of relativity in the time it takes.
The Navy are useless at recruiting.
And then I took a screenshot, sent it to Ben, and he went, tell him to fuck off.
Don't want to join the Navy anymore.
Go and reread the letter. You sure it didn't say his eyes were 2020?
No, it didn't. It said that his medical, he'd had a call from Medidec or Cordec or something like that.
No, the guy that wrote back was a WO2 in the Royal Marines. Right, he was the recruiting officer, and he said, "I'm going to ring you up tonight." We said, "Yeah, okay," because half the time we've got to answer the emails for him. Anyway, he rang Ben up, and he was dead snotty with him on the phone. What do you mean? Giving it all this. And Ben rang me later and said, "Time to fuck off."
No, they said they're
I
going to
don't want to join the Navy. He can stick his job up
It
his
really
arse.
is. It's a shambles.
I've got a better job
Absolute.
now. I've been waiting
The
that long.
The whole recruitment process is an absolute shambles. I mean, Horatio Nelson would be rubbing
I'll be
around
turning in
his
his grave.
grave.
Mind you, he had a
Press
different
gangs.
method
Press
method of recruiting in those days.
I mean,
folks coming out the pub and you bop them on the head and drag them off to the ship.
This morning I had a bit of I had a call from a guy who was telling me about basically the conversation was about, he called me up, he says, Trevor, what did Neil say? And I'm like, Neil, and I know, okay, he means Neil. So he's asked me a question. What did Neil Hamilton say, the leader of UKIP? Has he mentioned defence to you? And I'm like, no, but I've just seen a clip from squadron leader Peter, their veterans guy. I've seen what he's done, and he said to me, "What did he have to say about veterans?" And I'm like, "Well, it wasn't much, mate. It was just a puff piece. He just went up there and he did a lovely speech, and he said veterans should get this, immigrants get this." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Do you know what, mate? I'm sick of hearing this sort of bullshit." I said he added no value. I says what he should have said was, "We're 61 days before the end of the year, and we vowed to solve veterans' homelessness, and we haven't done it yet. We need to improve this." I said, so I didn't really hear much from him. And he went, okay. Did you hear the message from Dominic Cummings? And I says, yeah, I've seen it, because I get people call me about nonsense stuff, and I'm like, yeah. So Dominic Cummings has come out with a piece. He attacked the Commons and said, there's no national security. Did you know that? There's no national security. We think there is. It's a word that looks great. National security. There is none. Because if we had national security, our borders would be protected. Because they're not and they're open, we've no national security. Tony Blair got rid of it when he closed down the army, the MOD, and he employed civilians to work in there as civil servants. So whenever we got rid of the War Office and we replaced it with civil servants, we got rid of national security. So there's no one there's no one watching our rear. And so we had this long chat today about national security. I don't know why I went off on a tangent here. Sorry. So we had this chat today, and I'm like, no, but David, can you speak to Dominic Cummings tomorrow? And he was like, yes, well, I'm going to speak to him tomorrow about this. I says, well, why don't they hire people? I mean, there's a couple of ex-W1s out there, ex-Special Forces, which are currently sitting at home unemployed. You could bring them in to fix that. Why are they not employed? And then it's like, okay, do you know who they are? So I gave across 2 names today, and I said, there's 2 names that are sitting at home. They can fix this, but they would bring in their own teams. And I mean, we're in shit state at the minute, and this has been off on politics, but because of the birth recently of the Party of Islam, the Labour have messed up, because Labour and Conservative Party have got people of different religions within their parties.
Hang on. Whoa. Is there a new political party called the Party of Islam?
There is, yeah, in the UK.
Since when?
It's been going for about a week. And the fear now there's a big backlash in Labour to do Israel and Palestine.
Yeah.
There's talk now. There's talk here in the backbenchers type thing that a lot of MPs from the Conservative Party and from Labour that are from different religious backgrounds are going to defect, and they're going to go across and bolt up the Party of Islam. And this is going to have a massive effect on UKIP, which numbers could go very well through the roof.
Right. That's going to create a big meltdown.
It's going to be a pressure cooker leading up to Christmas.
Yeah.
You're going to see people going across. But what this has done for UKIP, this has been the best thing for UKIP so far in the UK this year. So
UKIP is an ever-changing animal. When UKIP that was first created is a very different thing. It's changed a lot, and it's a very different thing again now.
Tell them about the Edgware Road. We went up the Edgware Road last month.
Oh yeah, we did. Edgware Road.
Marble Arch, Edgware Road.
I never ever thought I'm probably one of the most liberal-minded people. In fact, people might even class me as woke. I would have been the woke 10, 15 years ago.
Wow.
Graham's stepfather and his mother used to say, oh, it's political correctness gone mad because you can't say this word and that word. And I was like, yeah, because it's fucking rude and you shouldn't say those words.
Yeah.
And then they said to me, be careful, Fiona, because it's the thin end of the wedge. I mean, they were talking about shocking words I wouldn't say in my life. And they just couldn't see anything wrong with it because they were completely different generation.
Different generation.
So I was one of the wokies.
They said, you can't say that, that's out of order.
And somewhere along the line, I've turned into one of the bad guys. And I walked down the edge of the road with Graham and I was really uncomfortable. There were no women. I was the only woman. There were lots of kebab shops with the, like the bong thing they smoke. All men, all men, all men, all the way down. And I actually said to Graham, what road are we on? And it was night. I want to get off this road now.
Wow.
And Graham kept saying, no, we'd need a few more turnings. And I said, no, I want the next left turning. I want to get off.
Oh,
he's back. I said, I want to get off this road right now.
It's strange.
And they were looking at me like, what are you doing on the street? You're a woman at night. Why are you showing your skin? I'm sorry if that sounds racist. I felt very uncomfortable.
Well, it's not racist if that's how it makes you feel. It's a shame that a lot of places are like that today. But then again, I'm very fortunate where I live. It's beautiful. I mean, don't get me wrong. Where I live, it's multicultural. It's certainly not Edgeworth.
I've got no problem with
multicultural.
Massively
multicultural. You're from Liverpool. Massive.
Unless multicultural's got a problem with us.
No, but this was not multicultural. This was like I might as well have been in Iran.
Or Baghdad.
There was no multicultural. There was the one culture, one culture.
It was like, I just thought, whoa, am I in London?
To be fair, Graham, I never seen a single woman in Baghdad.
I've never been to Baghdad, but I'll take your word for it, mate. I tell you.
I might have a vino, actually.
I've just got to answer this question because there's this lady we were talking.
Oh, yeah. What is
Louise Emerson. Sorry to sound ignorant, but what is a Scouser? Scouser is someone from Liverpool in England, okay? They're referred to as Scousers. It's something to do with Irish stew. Irish stew is a pan of scouse because we've got a massive Irish community in Liverpool, Catholics and Protestants, and for some reason, everyone in Liverpool is called Scousers, okay? So that's it. And you can elaborate on that, Trevor?
No, mate. I'm not getting involved in something I do not know 100% about. There's no point.
Some people say that Liverpool is the capital of Ireland, not just the north or the south.
Possibly.
The whole country.
Some people say, so is Boston. So is Boston.
They say Boston's more British than the British.
They say Joe Biden's more Irish than American.
I know. Politics causes a lot of problems.
I know it does,
for sure. For sure. Do you know where Assyria is?
Where?
Or was?
Assyria.
Not Syria, Assyria. The Assyrian Empire.
Oh. Was it near Syria?
It's Middle East. It's Middle Eastern.
It was near Syria, yeah. It was more like northern Iraq. And they were Christians, sort of Orthodox sort of tribes, living right in the middle of all the Muslims. And the Muslims decided to just bump them all off.
I wonder if they wore mini skirts in Iraq in the 60s and 70s.
I've seen photographs of Iraqi women wearing I'm going to be honest, it looked like London. I mean, they were dressed.
Yeah, or the Costa del Sol or California. I didn't know until Queen Gertie said that Afghanistani women wore mini skirts and had beehives.
They used to have a king in Afghanistan.
I had no idea. I mean, I just thought...
And Iran, the Shah.
It all used to be like that.
And it was like Western country, but like super great because it was such a nice place.
Well, religions caused this. And the weird thing is...
There is water in this, by the way, guys. A lot of water.
Religion is meant... I mean, that's why I mentioned this a while ago. Religion's the love of God. It's not... Love brings people together.
Yeah.
religion divides countries. It divides people. It's religions. Every single war has been fought because of religion. Nothing else.
It's more an idealism, isn't it? I mean, where religion forces women to cover up and wear a particular outfit. That's a little odd, I think.
Religion is for people to conform, to stick by something. It's where you have to be. It's where governments are formed. It's like, these are the rules. These are the rules. It's like, there's nowhere else in the world would a woman be stoned to death for having an affair. For having an affair.
Yeah.
No.
And men would get whipped. I mean, it works both ways.
Well,
they still have beheadings and crucifixions in certain countries.
From what I'm told, I mean, I'm not an expert on the subject, but Iran had a monarchy until like the 1970s,
The Shah, yes.
And it was the oldest monarchy in the world. Seriously.
2,500-year-old
But the
monarchy.
king could not compete with the church.
Well, someone commented tonight, someone who's far more knowledgeable than me, and said the mistake he made was that they had a very moderate prime minister, and the king, I think that the Shah got rid of him and got involved in politics. And that's a mistake for a monarch to get involved in politics.
Yeah, loads of monarchies have gone, haven't they, in the last century?
Yeah.
All over the world.
Well, listen, folks, I'm going to go and get changed. I'm going to go and say goodnight to my little boy. But
getting into politics and religion again, Trevor. Quite right. It's a good time to dip out.
And I think we're probably going time for bed as well. He saw my glass of wine and thought, "Fuck that
Drink
shit."
it. It looks lovely. It looks lovely. Listen, thanks for having me on. I do appreciate it, guys. Have a wonderful night, though.
Very much for coming.
Great for coming on, Trevor. Thank you very much.
See you later. Bye. Right, and I think on that note, we will probably wind up. I think we've done quite well.
Try to avoid religion and politics, okay? Because it will cause nothing but problems.
I don't see women being forced to cover up as religion. I just don't see that as religion.
Yeah, but if you look back at British history, you've only got to go back 100 years, and women were buttoned up to here, weren't they? And had to wear a hat and gloves. I mean, they were not quite the same as the veil, but I mean, they were not far off it, were they?
Just to lighten the mood and make sure I completely offend anybody, does anyone remember the Carry On films where they'd wear the burqa and all the black stuff and then they'd rip it off and it'd be a man in a belly dancer's outfit with stick-on tassels? There you go. That'll really
get you loads of haters. For sure.
There'll be a load of people in burqas.
Good night.
And may your God go with
you.
you.